The Chicago Bulls this year have won a total of 21 games in the clutch, which right now is the most across the NBA. And obviously a big factor to their late game success has been the play of DeMar DeRozan. In this video, we're going to go over what exactly makes DeMar still an elite scorer in his 15th season, and how he's been able to find so much success in the fourth quarter. Now, like we all know, DeRozan does a vast majority of his work in the mid-range, where he's able to use both his elevation and high release point on his jumper to rise up and over the defense. That lift that DeMar gets into his shot allows him to pretty much generate these in-between looks at will, because he doesn't really need a whole lot of airspace to get his shot off. Right here, you'll see this defender reaching and crowding DeMar's airspace, but from this spot, Debo is going to simply turn and elevate right over him for this jumper. And on top of DeRozan's ability to rise up and over contests, he also has a variety of ways to create additional separation off the dribble. You'll see DeMar again isolating along the baseline, but now he's going to quickly turn and square up, to then plant his left foot and drop his shoulder, selling the drive, which slightly pushes this defender's momentum back, giving DeMar plenty of space to bring the ball through and rise up for a jumper. When playing off the bounce, DeRozan is also comfortable creating space going both right and left. Notice on this play how heavily the Kings defense is loaded up on the ball. So in response, watch how Debo is going to drop the ball and push off his right foot, to then gallop out towards the corner and sink this tough shot. You'll see DeRozan here hit a similar move going towards his right, where he first refuses the screen, and when the help side defense loads up and builds a wall, watch how DeMar is going to plant off his left foot and sidestep into a jumper. DeMar also creates a good amount of his jumpers from the mid post, where again it all comes back to him creating just a little bit of space and rising up into these pull-ups. Notice on this play how Debo is both going to sink his weight back, then pivot his left foot down, which gets this defender leaning and opens up the turnaround back towards the middle. Now physically, at age 34, I do think DeMar has lost some of his vertical pop. When extending into these 1-foot finishes, Debo pretty clearly doesn't have the same lift off the floor. And when looking at the stats compared to last year, DeRozan's rim finishing is down pretty significantly. But one way DeMar has been able to work around this is to instead play off 2 feet, where he can instead lean on his craftiness and skill to create finishing windows. You'll see DeMar on this play attack towards his right, then spin towards the middle, and notice how he's able to freeze the defense by coming to a 2-foot stop and getting to a simple shot fake, which opens up this uncontested step through layup. I love DeRozan's pace on this play, where he's working across the lane and Brook Lopez switches onto him, and watch how Debo is going to drift up towards the free throw line, to then flow and turn into another pump fake, which lifts Lopez out of his stance, opening up another step through.
Fakes Lopez and got the scoop shot to go.
And then when playing off of 2 feet, DeMar always has that turnaround jumper in his back pocket. You'll see him again here get to a jump stop and shot fake in the paint. But when the defense doesn't bite and there's no step through available, Debo is going to simply turn out into a jumper. When playing in the post, I also think DeMar's really underrated strength, being able to bully and physically overwhelm a variety of matchups. You'll see him here going at Andrew Wiggins one-on-one, and from this spot, Debo isn't going to do anything super advanced off the dribble. He's just going to lower his shoulder into Andrew's body to then bring the ball through him for the and one. And while DeRozan has lost a lot of his explosiveness, he still has the ability to gather and step through contact. You'll see De'Aaron Fox on this play trying to crowd DeMar's space, but watch how Debo is going to sink his weight into Fox's body, to then spin off him and initiate this drive. Then he's going to initiate more contact by getting to this bump euro, where DeMar both bumps with his inside shoulder and gathers off his left foot, which gives him 2 more steps to muscle up a finish. So when playing one-on-one, DeRozan pretty clearly has a lot of tools to generate points. But on top of all his individual skill, Debo also has a really good feel for the entire court, which allows him to both time and pick the perfect spots on the floor to attack into. Take this play for example. You'll see DeMar catch and face up, then get to this spin towards his left for the bucket. But before Debo commits to his move, notice how he waits for this off-ball defender to move off his spot, which then gives DeMar all this open space to spin back into. Now another big factor to DeMar's scoring is his ability to get to the free throw line. So far this year, DeMar is averaging over 7 free throw attempts per game. Obviously his physical and aggressive downhill scoring is enough to generate fouls, but DeRozan also has a good feel for timing when the defense is reaching and sweeping the ball through contact to draw the foul. This low pickup is one of DeMar's go-to moves, where he takes one pound dribble and reads the defense's top foot, then sweeps the ball right past it to draw the foul. So when you throw all these skills together, from DeMar's mid-range game, his crafty footwork around the basket, to his feel of the court and ability to draw fouls, that makes Debo still one of the best isolation scorers across the league. And when the games get tight in the fourth quarter, Chicago has a variety of ways to give DeRozan the space he needs to isolate. One thing the Bulls love to do when DeRozan is playing one-on-one is run these off-ball screening actions, which is meant to distract the help and give DeMar space to work in isolation. Right here, you'll see him catch just above the foul line, and notice how this screening action pulls the help side out of the paint, which gives DeMar all this open space to attack into. This is also a nice out of bounds play, where there's only 3.5 seconds left on the shot clock, and Chicago is going to clear out the entire left side of the floor for DeRozan, and they're just going to pitch the ball across and let him play one-on-one. And then the Bulls also like to do your typical mismatch hunting. On this play, you'll see Kobe White sprint up into a ghost screen, which forces the switch, and from this spot, DeMar can just simply work his man down to his spot and set up another mid-range pull-up. Now the last thing I want to mention is DeRozan's three-point shooting. So far this year, Debo is averaging just under 3 three-point attempts per game, which is the highest it's been since his 2018 season with Toronto. Now DeMar primarily takes these shots off the catch, when the defense gives him too much airspace. Notice on this play how Harrison Barnes is dropped back well below the 3, which allows DeRozan to rise up into this uncontested shot.
DeRozan in rhythm walks into the 3. He doesn't take many of them.